In this video, we're going to take a look at part 2 of how we can command and control ARCHICAD. Specifically in this case, we're looking at the Shift key and 3 main functions it performs. So the first one is the selection and deselection tool, and it's one of my pet hates really, to be honest. If I'm in the middle of drawing something, one of the things I hate to see is when somebody does this, realise they need to use a different tool, so maybe they cancel, they press the escape key, move the mouse up here to the arrow tool to then go and maybe select this table and chairs, do something with it, finish that, and then go back to the tool that we're on before. There's a number of different ways to do that to speed things up. But the first thing is just don't go for the arrow tool in the first place. Use the Shift key. So if I put the mouse over any element and hold down Shift, you'll see in this case the slab is pre-selected. It's highlighting it and it's showing me information about it. It's doing this because the quick select function is active. This detects elements under the mouse and quickly selects. However, that's only one part of the story. So select, hold down Shift, click the mouse, that selects the slab. Fair enough. If I escape to deselect, I can move the mouse around and you'll see it wants to pick up different things and it highlights what those things are. However, there is actually another function in here. If I want to select the zone rather than the slab, if I actually come across here and select the zone tool, then hold down Shift, what you'll see is in each space it wants to select the zone before any other element. So it's a really useful, very basic, but very useful filter. If I grab the slab tool now, hold down Shift, then it looks for the slab elements. And what I'll do is I'll finish with the object, and you'll see what it wants to do is filter out objects before any other elements. So if I grab the object tool, we can select a bunch of objects. It's going to do that before anything else. If I just hold down Shift and draw a selection window, same as we would with an arrow, it picks everything up in there. If there's bits that I don't want selected, Shift does deselect in exactly the same way. So I hold down Shift and I pick what I don't want. So get rid of that table, get rid of these two zones, and maybe deselect the stair. So we can select and deselect as much as we like. The next thing Shift is good for is as a constraint tool. And again, this is an old school type control. If I grab the wall tool and come down here and go to draw a piece of wall, we have our guidelines and our active guides and various bits that we can use to snap to different reference points. But an old school method is just hold the Shift key. And what that does, I'm holding it down just now, you see wherever the mouse goes, the wall is actually constrained to the horizontal in this case. If I let go of Shift, let it come round to a different angle, we can do that again, where we can slide up and down and just choose anything else. So it's actually quite useful. It means I can hold down Shift and we can actually bring the mouse up to some point across the other side of the building and click. And that will use whatever point I've clicked on as a reference, but keep the wall constrained to the original axis. So we could come up here slightly, draw another piece from there, bring that across and maybe line it up with the end of the bed for some reason. And it saves us having to do the newer methods where we wait for the active guides and things to appear and use the reference lines. If we want to change the angles that this snaps to, we can do so in the work environment by going to Input, Constraints and Guides. And in here you can see we have horizontal vertical, we have a parallel to the grid, and we can also switch on an incremental angle. So we can actually make this 45 for example, hit OK, and now when I move the mouse around, if I hold Shift, we're snapped to horizontal, we can snap to vertical, but we can also snap to the 45 and the 135 angles as well. So it's quite a quick way of aligning things. The final option to take a look at with the Shift key is when it's used as a shortcut modifier. Depending on your keyboard shortcuts, you might use Shift to create copies, for example. So Control or Command D for drag, and maybe Shift, Control or Command D for drag a copy. In this case, the most useful one I find is the shortcut to allow you to orbit around the model. Another one of my pet hates is having to find and use the orbit command either here or with the keyboard shortcut O. But instead of doing any of that, if I come up here, anywhere in the middle of the screen, hold down the wheel, I can pan. Instead of doing that, if I use the modifier, which is Shift, and then hold down the wheel. This time it quickly takes me to orbit and I can reposition the model wherever is required. As soon as I let go of shift and let go of the wheel, I'm ready to start working. Whereas using either of the other options, you have to come out of those options to then begin and start working.